What's good, guys? So in this video, we're going to be going over how I would market my games on Roblox. Now listen, I've only done a little bit of advertising on the platform, so I don't have a ton of first-hand experience advertising games on a platform. I've never had a game, quote unquote, blow up on the platform. Um, so I don't really have much firsthand experience with that either. So this is really just my opinion. I want you guys to know that and be aware of that. Um, Now what I do have is over 7 or 8 years of marketing experience. So I have a fairly good understanding of what I'm going to do. And so I just want to go over the strategies of how I would like market my games in the future, okay? Now there is, let's see. There's two strategies really um for that. Like two strategies I really want to go over. Let me just try to. Alrighty, here we go. I'm just getting this sketch pad ready. Yeah, baby. Getting that sketch pad ready, baby. Alright. Now what color do I want to make the pencil? I want to make it orange. Yeah. Yeah. Just a little orange. Yeah. All right, guys. So I'm just gonna bring it over into Sketchpad. Okay. So two strategies. Okay. Strategy number one is ads. All right. This one is gonna be fairly simple to go over. I mean they're both fairly like simple. They both don't have like a ton of freaking components. So that is the good news. So ads, basically, I think it's the game icon ads. You can use Robux or cash dollars, and I believe it's the same like amount, and it's the same ad. Okay, and I believe it's game icon. At least it was. Somebody told me recently it was, and it was when I was experimenting with it, so long ago. But yeah, game icons. Okay. Now look, like I said, I don't know. I don't have firsthand experience as of recent and not a lot of it in the past, but I am almost fairly certain that there is a algorithm on the Roblox platform for games based around time. Okay, now listen, I don't, how do I explain this? So I am not 100% sure if, say, it's the campaign that's running, like, oh, I have a campaign that's running 5 days, 7 days, 2 weeks, and Roblox is looking at that and saying, hey, he's advertising his game this long. Let's go ahead and, boost it into the algorithm. It could be that. I know that like Facebook ads had something like that in their algorithm. Completely different though. So, but I do know that time is involved. So I don't know if it's time in that regards. What I think it really is it's time that players are consistently playing the game. Like this game has active players every single minute of the day for a week to 2 weeks. Let's go ahead and keep pushing it. And uh depending on how like the stats or whatever, like the playtime and stuff like that, if you're getting good stats, then it's just going to continue to expand and they're going to suggest your game. So that is something to keep in mind. Um, so time I believe is very important. Um, the time your game is active. So I'll just put time active right here, okay? So time active, and that could be like for the ad or just the game being active in general, but if you have an ad campaign consistently running for a week or two, your game's gonna be active. So time active, so just yeah. Uh so I think that is important. I think that's definitely a big, big factor. Now, obviously, if your game does very well and it starts to expand and grow its player base, um, organically at a certain point, because you're not always gonna be running these ads, right? You want it to be put into the algorithm. Um, then you're looking at not just like time active, but you're looking at other stuff like playtime and all that other stuff. Now, one thing that I noticed when I was running ads on the platform, and this was quite a bit ago, but I'm sure it's still the same. I don't know why they would change this or not make this a thing. It just doesn't make any sense. But as I was running a campaign, not only would I get traffic from the campaign, but Roblox would suggest my game. Like 50% of the traffic was from ads, and then 50% of the traffic was from it just being suggested. So that is something to also keep in mind when you're running ads. Your game should also be suggested alongside of the ads. So it's going to be automatically forced into the algorithm just by you running ads. And then, but say if you stop the ads, so say if you only did like a 2 day, 3 day campaign, you stop the ads, chances are the all traffic's gonna stop, right? Unless you had like some miraculous 3 day ad campaign max, right? Like a 1 to 3 day 1 to 3 day ad campaign, and it just did freaking well for no reason, right? Like and it just like, did whatever it did, and it still remained active after the ad stopped. Highly unlikely unless you're feeding it like a ton of freaking ad money, but and like getting a ton of players, and so then it has more data to go off of, and if it's good data, it's gonna respond well to it, maybe, or something like that, right? So I don't know. Um, but yeah, just something to keep in mind, which is the while you're running the ad, you will get organic traffic as well alongside that ad while it's running. That's at least my last that was my last experience running ads. So that's just stuff to keep in mind, right? Um, it's just good info. Organic while ad active plus organic reach while ad active. All right, cool. Um, all right, so here's what I would do. Here's what I would do for um ads, okay? First of all, you're gonna need a budget, and you're gonna want to figure out what your budget is. I'm losing train of thought. You're gonna want to figure out what your budget is and how much you can put to it per day. Uh, and like you want to find a minimum to where you can still get enough traffic to where you can always have the game active every minute of the day. That is very important. I think that's very important here. You want to have it active every minute of the day. What's the minimum number you can put in every single day for at minimum a week to 2 weeks to where the whole campaign it's always you're always going to have an active number on your game. What's the minimum you can put? So like for example, $5 a day probably won't cut it. I don't think that's gonna cut it. Um, so you're gonna want to find out what that minimum is. To do this, you could experiment, run a 24-hour ad, run like a 1 day ad or a 2 day ad, and just start experimenting with numbers with a budget. Start off with five, start off with then go to 10 if it's not active, if there's dry moments. If 10 has dry moments, go to 15, go to 20, and so on until have always you always have players on your game every minute of the day. I think that is very important. Um, it goes in with the time active, which is what I was talking about. I think that's one of the most important things here. Um, okay, so you're gonna want to figure that out. What's the minimum that you can spend? Um, and then when you have that number, make sure you have enough to run a campaign for minimums. I recommend 7 days to 2 weeks. Me personally, I'm gonna do the 2 weeks. Maybe unless I'm unsure of my game. If I'm like not so sure of my game, say that maybe my game hasn't been done before, or I don't think my game is fully polished, and I just want to see how players respond to it, then I'm gonna cut it down from 2 weeks and I'll do like a week, right? Now, I wouldn't really go under 7 days. If you want to do a few day campaigns, I see a lot of people like gassing up few day campaigns. The problem with few day campaigns is at a certain point, you don't have enough data. The algorithm doesn't have enough data to do anything, and you don't even have enough data to really do anything. A few day campaign should really only be for things that you're testing in your campaign, such as the icon itself, the image itself, click through rates. You want to see, okay, are players liking my icon? Let me test this for a day or two to see if players like this icon, see if they're if it's getting good clicks, grabbing their attention. Let me test this icon out because this one got a poor click through rating, or just a poor click through rate. So that is what I would do for few day campaigns, is just testing stuff like that, testing out certain mechanics in my game, playtime maybe. But if I'm trying to test out, say, how do I say this? If I'm trying to like run a test to see if my game can hit the algorithm, and when it does it do well or not? Minimum 7 days, because I want data. I want enough data to go off of. And I don't think I can get that off of a few days worth of players. I want to see um what the issues are. The more data you have, the more information you have, the more you're able to say to pinpoint what's going on with your game and stuff like that. Now, again, this is my opinion, right? And what I'm thinking as I'm talking about this is I'm thinking maybe a few day campaign would be enough to see if your playtime is where you want it to be before you scale the ads. By scaling, I mean jump from a few day campaign to a 2 week campaign. So maybe I would do like a few day to test out playtime and see if my analytics are where I want them to be. Then I can do that big campaign jump and do a full campaign. So maybe I would do that. It just depends on how I felt about my game. It depends on if it was polished enough, if I knew it was going to if it made sense for the audience, if the demographic I knew they would want it or not, if I was unsure. So it just kind of depends, right? So I hope that that little explanation was made sense. Um, but yeah, that's this is the strategy with ads, and that's how I would approach that. Not too complicated. If we really want to dial in, if you have the budget for this, because obvious, like, or not obviously, but each campaign you run, you want it to be separate. So let's say is a demographic of like tablet, phone, because if we really wanted to get serious and get the most data, we possibly could, or just kind of just be really aggressive with our campaigns, then we can set up multiple campaigns. One campaign targeting phones, for example. One campaign targeting PC, for example. One campaign targeting certain age groups. Um, and we can split this up. Like run this one, then run that one, and and then compare our analytics from there and see which campaign we really want to scale the most. So by doing that, we're just being more aggressive with it, right? So like let's say if I get, and I guess you could run like one solid campaign that just targets everything and then you can maybe go from there. I'm not sure if all the analytics have that information like Facebook ads would, but you could do that too. But yeah, just separating it is just really aggressive. You're just kind of focusing on one thing at a time. Um and you're just able to see the data better in my opinion that way. But yeah, anyways, another thing is, I guess I already covered that. Yeah, the game icons. So like just testing certain game icons. So yeah. But yeah, that would be my strategy for ads, okay? That'd be my strategy for ads. And it's important to know that if your game is not performing in ads, don't over like at a certain point it could be failing. Now, again, like the time active is very important, and in my opinion, I think you need a certain amount of players for a certain amount of time, like a week or two, to really know if your game is it or not, right? Like I don't like there I really believe that there's a point where you just don't have enough data. And so when I hear people like, "Oh, they advertise their game for 2 days, 3 days." Well, I mean, what your game barely reached out to anybody. You got barely any plays off that. So how do you even know? Like you can't really go off. It's just so little data that you can't really go off of it. Um, so yeah. Anyways, let's go to the second strategy, which is content, short videos, okay? YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, even Facebook, I guess. I've never seen any like really gaming content on Facebook. I don't watch gaming on Facebook. Really primarily TikTok though is what you want to focus on, but if you're making the content, you might as well upload it on Instagram and YouTube as well to hit those shorts as well because they can still do well over there as well. But what I would do for this is I would make 3 videos a day hyping up the game, trying to get traffic to the game. Now, what you're gonna want to be doing, I'm just gonna put TikTok shorts. Okay. Now, what you're gonna want to be doing is either you're like creating a TikTok account just for your game that you're making, your primary focus is the game you're making, right? 3 videos a day of all kinds of content on your game. Okay, it can be dev content, like uh can be gameplay content, like random meme videos. Find what's working on the social medias and replicate that just for your game. So yeah, you're gonna want to upload 3 of those a day and you know go off of your content. If your content's doing bad, then um, you know, try to understand why it's doing bad. Is it just because you have a new account, or is it just because like, because at a certain point TikTok has to understand, that's why you use hashtags, is to help TikTok's algorithm point it to the right people. But even then sometimes they gotta do their stuff behind the scenes. The algorithm is consistently working, trying to find the is trying to find the I'm losing train of thought. Is trying to find the right audience for your content, okay? So that's what I would do here is I would focus on TikTok, make 3 videos a day around my game, promoting my game, trying to get it popular. And that would be that. And I would just do that. Now, another strategy I have is I would just make content around any game in a specific genre. I would choose a genre first that my game is going to be under. And because later on I could make more games in the same genre and just, then we have like a little cycle going on. And what I would do is I would upload content on other people's games, whoever's games, my game when it's ready, the games I would put out in the future, but on a specific genre. I'd find a blueprint that works on TikTok. I'd replicate that content. I would just literally like watch the video, pause it if you need to every single second so you understand what's happening every single second in the video, and make the same exact video. If there's a hype moment in the first second or the first 2 seconds or the first 3 seconds, put a hype moment in your video in the first 1 to 3 seconds. If there's some goofy meme that just was crazy goofy, try and make a meme type deal with your game. I don't know. It's just, you just gotta replicate the content, do research, see what's working, see what's going viral. Something that I think about when I go over this is, okay, what type of content is consistently going viral for all creators, any creators, new creators, big creators, anyone that puts out a similar video, it's blowing up. That's the type of stuff I would be looking for. Don't just go on to a big creator's profile. You see one of his videos went viral, so you replicate that. Like, yeah, that is good to look at and see, like, okay, his video is going viral. But sometimes it's like they've already created a brand, they're already established, so that has a boost that helps it go viral, or that is why it went partially viral. So, um, that is something to think about. Uh, but yeah, I mean that's like the main strategies that I can think of for real. This is how I would be marketing my game. Um, this is how I would be marketing my game on Roblox, is these 2 methods. So when I think of ways to market something, a question that I ask myself, what's a way where I have the most control? So, for example, the ads. Well, if as long as I'm putting money in, I'm gonna get impressions. Okay. Is my click-through rate, can I get my click-through rate up? Yes, I can by, adjusting my testing out new game icons. Um, can I get my playtime up? Yes, I can. So as long as I'm running ads, I'm gonna get traffic. So this is the way that you have the most control. With TikTok is a little bit of a different story. Um, it could be hard. It could be really hard to grow an account on TikTok, for several reasons. I don't even want to go over it, but because this isn't really a TikTok growth video, this is just how to market your games on Roblox. But yeah, these two ways I would do it. Now, one other way that I've thought about is running ads on Twitter. There's a massive audience on Twitter. Running ads on Twitter could be very cheap and it could get a lot of traffic to your games. Would it be more expensive or less expensive? I feel like it'd be more expensive, kind of. I'm not too sure on that, but I do think it would be more expensive. But yeah, than the Roblox ads themselves. Would they be a little? Could you drive? See, now this is a very interesting thing. Could you drive a different type of players from Twitter ads to your game versus uh Roblox's ads? So the problem with Roblox's ads is they work for very specific games. Games like simulators or tycoons, a game where anybody can join and immediately become hooked to. Those are the best type of games to have Roblox ads um, or to use Roblox ads for. Um, but say if you're using another platform like, Twitter ads, right? Now, can you actually drive a different type of demographic, like say people that like social games? Because it is extremely hard to grow that using uh Roblox ads. I don't recommend that. I think that it would just not work out well. Um, yeah. But again, you know, that's just my opinion. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. And I'll see y'all in the next one.